The first stage in a semester of service is the investigation stage. During this time, students begin to identify and research community needs of interest and importance to them and to their community. First, they look at their own experience, observations, and passions, and really expand upon these to develop surveys, conduct interviews, seek out community partners, research books, videos, and the internet. As students identify and begin to understand a particular problem or need, they establish a baseline from which they will monitor their impact and progress. Gathering resources to address and solve the identified problem, students assess the various skills and interests that they and their peers possess. They get to brainstorm what else they might need and really evaluate the feasibility of proposed solutions. Teachers and other adults really can guide the students' research and serve as expert resources during this stage. Building upon student engagement with an issue, they associate and introduce related academic content and skill development to enhance student understanding and their acquisition of knowledge. To me, the most crucial stage in a semester of service is really the investigation stage. Why is this? Because it's the most intimidating stage for a facilitator. So at YSA, we've spent a lot of time making sure that the semester of service teacher toolkit has all the resources and all the planning guides that you could possibly need to really have a really thorough investigation at the beginning. So once you've been able to investigate a specific issue, what you really end up doing is you start seeing students ask more questions that are more detailed about the particular issue.
Before you work with your students on identifying a specific cause that they care about, you need to reflect on your experience in service learning. If you're new to a semester of service, consider picking a broad theme such as health, education, environment, community building, and human rights. It's likely that you're going to have several specific causes within those themes and issues. Then, you can find articles, news stories, and if possible, give your students a chance to walk around the campus and the community, or look on Google Maps to identify potential causes. For example, Ms. Siddiqui was a first-year teacher in Chicago. She taught middle school, and she picked water as a theme and did a Google News search on water and water quality in Chicago, and several different articles and topics came up around water. She had different groups read various articles and books, and then they monitored their reaction. The students were the most interested and focused on zebra mussels in Lake Michigan, and that became their cause. Then it was their turn to start asking more questions and really narrow down the problem. So since they were focusing on one specific issue and they narrowed it down, it was so much easier for their teacher, Ms. Siddiqui, to facilitate the semester of service. Students can write essays or draw pictures based on their experience. They can read books or bring in articles and videos. You can walk around the block, you can have the students take notes, you can bring in someone from the city government and have the students interview them about the city's most pressing issues. During this time, the true passion of your students will come out, and it's so easy to jump on that idea and just start planning right away at that very moment. Please make sure that you are very careful during this time so everyone has a chance to reflect and process what happened and really think about that particular conversation. Then you can revisit it the next day or maybe even the next week and start talking about that particular cause. When looking at a semester of service, it's really about the process, not necessarily the product. If you teach multiple classes, you can have different classes choose various causes, but that takes a lot of management on a teacher's part. You might want to consider using a Google Doc or other shared documents so the classes can communicate with each other throughout. In some cases, you might have multiple projects within a semester of service, but you should proceed with caution and make sure to use the "Is this project doable?" section in the Semester of Service Teacher Toolkit, which we're going to revisit later in this training.
As you can see from the graphic of Choose Your Cause, it's really important for students. They all have passion. They get fired up when they focus on an issue. But as we get fired up, sometimes we forget that the outcomes that we're trying to make in the community really need to be something that's measurable. So as you can see, if you're focusing on recycling, well, how many pounds of glass, metal, or plastic are you going to collect? If you're focusing on hunger, how many people are you going to likely help after you collect a certain amount of cans or raise a certain amount of money? So it's important as you're talking about these specific causes that the youth care about, that you're also talking about what kind of outcome they would like to have at the end of the project. When you're making that decision of what issue to focus on, you might want to consider looking at the global goals. So people in 193 countries are really working towards 17 global goals to achieve 3 extraordinary outcomes by 2030. Those 3 are ending poverty, promoting prosperity, and protecting the planet. So with half the world's population under 25, this is the chance for young people, your students, to really lead the way. So when you look at these goals, you can think critically about them and give youth, your students, an opportunity to ask really important questions about these 17 global goals. And when they ask those questions, that can help them really in their research as they try to take a deep dive into that issue, think critically about it, and really find out how they can maximize their impact, make the biggest difference in one of those 17 goals. I'm going to be introducing to you here in a little bit some videos and some documentation of an amazing group of 3rd graders in Austin, Texas. These students really looked at hunger with a magnifying glass. They looked at not just hunger in America or hunger globally, they were able to narrow down what childhood hunger looked like in Central Texas. And by asking general questions throughout the process, they were able to pinpoint the specific ways that they could make an impact. And not only make an impact, but really work with the right types of partners and to make sure that they were communicating their message in an effective way throughout the process. We're going to talk a little bit about what that project looked like and also what were the techniques that their teacher, Ms. Brunson, used in order to really bring out the best in all of her students and make sure that they really were involved every step of the way.
We were talking about childhood hunger and how we can help that and stop it. Helping childhood hunger is important, and we want more lives so we can have a new generation of healthy kids. Our teacher, she's teaching us all these things that she has to teach us, but she's adding fun into it by letting us do fun projects to help those in need.
Something I didn't know before was that there were so many kids hungry. When I saw that map on Hunger Around America, there was a lot of green around our community, and not only there was green around the world. And the darker green it gets, the more hungry people there are in that area.
So you really need to start helping and try to make a difference. I would hope to accomplish at least Texas being out of hunger, at least.
Yeah.
Well, it's really exciting because she's letting us decide of our names and our logos and everything. So we're just pretty much the boss of the project.
You're learning new things and how to help people. And that makes me want to encourage other people.
And you just gotta put your faith in it and try your hardest.
You gotta believe in yourself and believe you can do it, and next thing you know, it happens.
you're going to be glad you gave it to us because we're going to do a good job with it. We're going to grab our opportunity pretty quickly.